As the Time magazine review noted, Tennessee Williams and Elia Kazan were the auteurs of Baby Doll. Baby Doll was based on two one-act plays by Tennessee Williams, which were revised and combined into a screenplay by Williams and Elia Kazan. The movie was shot on location in Benoit, Mississippi, beginning in November 1955, with local citizens appearing in small roles and as extras. The film contains some familiar Tennessee Williams themes and characters, including sympathetic female characters who are both vulnerable and strong in the face of bullying males. It's really a four-character story with Baby Doll, Archie Lee, and Vaccaro as the protagonists in the love or lust triangle, and Aunt Rose as sort of a pitiful, poor relation to add some pathos to the mix. Tennessee Williams was born in Mississippi in 1911. Not sure why he wasn't called Mississippi Williams, but apparently he liked Tennessee Williams better. He began writing as a teen, but he wasn't really successful until the 1944-45 theater season when The Glass Menagerie premiered to critical acclaim. Then Streetcar Named Desire came along with a big hit in 1947 on the stage, and Williams was on his way. He was very popular in the late 40s and throughout the 1950s. By 1959, he had won 2 Pulitzer Prizes and a Tony Award. His plays included Cat on Hot Tin Roofs, Sweet Bird of Youth, The Rose Tattoo, Suddenly Last Summer, Camino Real, etc. 11 of his plays or novels were adapted to motion pictures between 1950 and 1964. So he wasn't just this highbrow Broadway playwright. He was somebody who was well known in popular culture through the films based on his work. Williams' career declined in the 60s and 70s, although he continued to write up until his death in 1983. Elia Kazan was Williams' frequent collaborator, both in stage and on films. That's Tennessee Williams, that's Elia Kazan. Kazan was born in Constantinople, now called Istanbul, in 1909 and immigrated to the United States at a young age. He was an actor who turned director. He worked with the famous Group Theater in New York. He co-founded the Actors Studio and worked with people and young people early in their career like Marlon Brando, Montgomery Clift, and for this movie, Eli Wallach, Karl Malden, and Wilbur Gunner. He was a proponent of the method acting style. He directed not only plays on Broadway, but beginning in 1945 he began directing movies. He won 2 Academy Awards as Best Director for Gentleman's Agreement and for On the Waterfront. He won a Lifetime Achievement Academy Award in 1999. However, his legacy was somewhat marred for political reasons. He was a former member of the Communist Party, and in the early 1950s, he named names to the anti-communist HUAC committee, and that caused him a certain amount of grief later in life and called him a reformer, etc. And Kazan died in 2003. The 3 main performers in Baby Doll all had stage experience. For Carroll Baker and Eli Wallach, the film was their first significant screen work. Carroll Baker was born in 1931. She had appeared in some movies before Baby Doll, but this was her first major role, and as I mentioned earlier, she received an Academy Award nomination for it. She later appeared in other major films such as Giant with James Dean, Elizabeth Taylor, and Rock Hudson, and the epic Cinderella Western How the West Was Won. She was promoted as a sex symbol in the late 50s and into the 60s. She played a Jean Harlow-like character in The Carpetbaggers and actually played Jean Harlow herself in a biography a year later, among other movies where she was sort of played up as a sex symbol. However, she relocated to Europe in the late 1960s and made a bunch of movies in Italy and elsewhere, and didn't really come back to the United States and start making films until the late 70s. And by that time, she was, as I say, a woman of a certain age, and was then therefore relegated to character roles. And she actually continued to appear in television and films up into the early 2000s. She's still alive, but she's not very active lately. Karl Malden was a Serbian-American, born in Chicago in 1912. He worked in steel mills after high school. His father was a steel worker as well, but eventually he studied acting and made his Broadway debut in 1937. He went to the service during World War II, but when he got out of the service in the post-war years, he went back on the stage and began making movies in 1950. He won an Academy Award as Best Supporting Actor for A Streetcar Named Desire. He also had a major Baby Doll, he appeared in a number of other movies, including How the West Was Won with his Baby Doll co-star Carroll Baker. And then he gained fame on television in the 1970s, playing a detective on the show Streets of San Francisco, for which many people remember him. His last acting role was in 2000, and died in 2009. Third member of the triumvirate from Baby Doll was Eli Wallach. He was born in Brooklyn in 1915. He actually earned a master's degree in education, but he was bitten by the acting bug, and he acted some in college, and when he was in the service during World War II, he appeared in shows and plays. And so after the war, he made his Broadway debut in 1945, and never looked back, becoming an actor for the rest of his life. He won a Tony Award for The Rose Tattoo, which was a Tennessee Williams play. And as I said, Baby Doll was his film debut. Another of his notable film roles was Tuco, the ugly one, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Eli Wallach's most recent films I've seen, Oliver Stone's Wall Street, Money Never Sleeps, and The Ghost Writer. Those films were released in 2010 when Eli Wallach was 95 years old. So we all hope we're all working when we're 95 years old. Possibly because of the controversy surrounding it, Baby Doll was not financially successful at the time of its release, although it has since been critically recognized as one of the better collaborations between Elia Kazan and Tennessee Williams, and it's a highly entertaining, comedic, dramatic look at human nature and Southern culture, one aspect of it anyway. Following is a trailer for the re-release of the movie in the late 1960s. This is a very interesting piece of exploitation, since you'll see at the very beginning, it misstates the age of Baby Doll and claims she's about to turn 18 rather than 20, which really adds to the sleaze factor and makes her even younger. And it also inaccurately suggests that this is some sort of movie about race relations in the South, which is rather unusual. Whoops.
This is the story of Baby Doll, a 17-year-old bride. Her father made a deal. Her husband couldn't have sex with her until she was 18. In 3 days, she'll be 18. Now her husband's getting mighty itchy. So but not for him. Yes, it's true what they say about Southern girls. The dumb, fat husband, the shifty, sneaking Italian, the big black buck. This is the South.
Baby Doll!
Auntie Lee?
Baby Doll!
You told a mouthful of lies to my daddy in order to get me.
Get you? I ain't got you yet.
I'm known as a wop that runs a syndicate plantation.
Oh, what's that, from the Bible?
No, the Mother Goose book.
Baby Doll!
Baby Doll. The innocent look of a child.
Baby Doll.
The incredible heat of a woman.
Oh, I've had some experiences here with boys that would just curl your hair if I told you. I shall not be moved.
This is the South most white folks would just rather not think about.
Hey, Senator!
This is the overheated world of Baby Doll.
I come from a very old country where it's tradition for each man to make his own justice.
Baby Doll, I want you to entertain this gentleman in the house.
Well, you don't have to go all the way home to take a nap. You could take a nap here.
Are you threatening me?
Don't touch me. Please don't touch me. I don't like to be touched.
Baby Doll! Okay. Put me in that stinking black calaboose. I ain't a white man. No, I ain't a white man, so throw me in.
Come into Baby Doll's country. Live in its heat.
Drive me along the river with all the windows open to cool me off.
Feel its temper. Carroll Baker, Karl Malden, Eli Wallach, him, Baby Doll.
Interesting that just a few years and they really changed the emphasis, even though it's the same movie. It makes it out to be much sleazier than it really is. So that just about wraps up the introduction. We're almost ready to begin tonight's film. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's pretty outrageous and entertaining. It's well produced and it has 4 very fine actors going through their paces. I didn't talk too much about Mildred Dunnock, but you'll see that she also is a very effective actress in this particular film. Don't forget, next Thursday is the final night of the 2012 Hirshhorn Museum Sculpture Garden Summer Camp Film Festival, aka Baby Camp, with the 1990 comedy musical Cry Baby, starring Johnny Depp, directed by John Waters. But for now, it's time for Baby Doll. Thanks for coming out. Enjoy the movie.